You're listening to the A Bit From Within podcast with Felicia Marty. Hello there, and thank you so much for joining me today for a new episode of the A Bit From Within podcast. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Felicia, and I am a self-care specialist as well as a certified astrologer. And every week for the past several years, I've been coming here to share just a little bit from within. A Bit From Within is all about sharing something real that is happening for you, whether it's something that you are experiencing, something that you're thinking about, something that you have gone through. It may not capture the entire truth, but it's a bit of the truth, something that when you're really honest about, that other people can relate to too, because we all share so much more in common. We're all going through so many similar things, even if the package looks different, like even if the outside looks different. So this week, I'm coming here to share just a little bit from within. I'm going to be honest with you. It is a late on a Monday night. Usually I get this thing recorded on the weekends and I'm able to share it with the Patreon on Mondays and then with the rest of the world on Tuesdays. But for the past few months, I have just been in this really deep, dismantling of the system that I had built. And I say this because when you run your own business or when you have success in like a certain platform, a lot of that is due to having a lot of structure, from being able to offer people things and promise them and move with a sense of certainty and stability. And I really like that. As a Virgo rising myself and a Taurus moon, I like things that are secure and stable and dependable. And it's something that I pride myself on being. But ever since we decided to make this huge move and leave Colorado and buy a new house and I got a new job, these were such huge, major, life-changing moments. And while I do feel like I've mostly managed the stress of it well, I think there's just an outward impact that absolutely just happens. And I've been trying to accept that as I move through it. I've been trying to gracefully kind of let certain things fall through the cracks and just be humble, be honest about the fact that I'm not perfect. Try to not, push myself so hard that it makes me sick or that it makes me so deeply stressed that I could find myself hurting, which we all know is very easy to do. It is very easy to put that kind of pressure on yourself. And so I've been trying to be mindful as I move through this life-changing time. But I do feel like, if I'm being honest, that I haven't even begun to process a lot of it because it has all happened so fast and under just so much of a, like I'm just in a pressure cooker, right? There's so much going on and it's been brought up to speed so quickly that I probably haven't even had the time to truly sit with all that has happened. And I'm really starting to feel the impact of that this week. I say that because, for a few different reasons. One, we are on week 3 here in our new hometown, and we're still living in temporary housing. We're living in an Airbnb while we are waiting to close on our house. And it feels like I've just been trying to do so much. I guess that's a full sentence. It feels like I've been trying to do so much. I've been trying to get everything ready so that we can actually get our clear to close. This process just is somewhat slow. We were waiting on a couple of reports to come in. We were waiting on the appraisal to come in. And in addition, they had found some mold in the house in our inspection. And so the sellers had to go back and work with a mold assessor to figure out a scope for fixing that, repairing it, and then getting it reassessed. And then we had to wait for that report to come back. And all of these things have to be done before you can actually get like a clear to close on your house. So we submitted everything and I reached out to our lender this morning, like, are we good? And she's like, yep, I'm submitting it all now. And then right away it was like, nope, that HOA paperwork isn't on point. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. Whew, just breathing. I'm trying to breathe through all of this uncertainty, and I'm trying to breathe into it on the micro level, or I guess like the base level of like those kind of logistics. Like these things have to happen in order to get from point A to point B. So there's, I guess, just trying to get those little things like boxes checked off. Still can't control the process, but at least I feel like I have a little bit of control. And then there's just like trying to stay grateful and trying to stay grounded while we are in this temporary place. I'm trying to just remind myself that like, I'm okay. I can do this. But, you know, I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago that right out of the gate here, my sensory issues were just feeling really strong. I'm feeling really sensitive to noises and smells right now. I'm feeling a lot of pressure. Like I'm noticing that just my nervous system feels more reactive right now. Like my heartbeat is racing a lot more often. I'm feeling a lot of cortisol in my body. I'm craving a lot of sweets. Like I'm just trying to acknowledge the physiology that like my system's a little frayed right now. And that's okay. And the reason I share this again, because you guys have heard me touching on some of these things before, is that I am on week 3 of just sitting with this and digesting it and reminding myself that it is okay. And so from a self-care perspective, one thing that I'm trying to remember is that it is always easier to choose to not take care of yourself than it is to choose to care for yourself. And I think that's worth slowing down and really thinking about. In what ways are you not taking care of yourself because it's easier to not do so? For me today, it was a Monday, you know, in all other situations, I would have loved today. It was a Monday. It was the first day of a new month. Gosh, that feels so good most of the time. I hope that this Monday, May 1st, felt really good to you. But today, I just had a lot of work meetings, and I'm feeling these Mercury retrograde vibes so strong right now. I feel like ever since Mercury went retrograde, ever since this eclipse kind of kicked off on April 26th, like things have just been in a weird gear. It's not even quite neutral. It's not reverse. Maybe it is reverse and it just feels that bad. It just feels like every single thing is resistance. Every single thing is slow. Every single thing feels a little bit backwards and a little chaotic and just like muffled and fuzzy. And, you know, as an astrologer, it's one thing to know things on a head level. And actually, I mean this just in general. You do not have to be an astrologer to know this piece, is that we can understand things on a head level. We can say, okay, Mercury's in retrograde. Things are going to be a little bit slow right now. Communication's going to be a little bit weird. Conversations that happen right now are not going to be the long-term resolution. Like it's a lot of things are in flux, and that is okay. This is one thing to understand that on a head level. Same thing like in our lives, right? You can understand, hey, I'm going through this temporary situation. I'm looking for a new job, or I'm in the middle of moving, or I am just having this certain fight with my spouse. You know, whatever the temporary moment is, you can understand that on a head level. But on a heart level or on a gut level, like deeper in your body, it's like it doesn't totally register. It's like you're still feeling really triggered, or you're still feeling really frustrated. You're still feeling like just a lot of body emotions as well as like emotions about it. And that's because your mind and your heart are on two different pages, right? It's like you're trying to rationalize it, but you're still physically processing it as though you don't understand it. Like you have not come to terms with it yet. And that's why it's messing with you so much. And I think what I was trying to say is that as an astrologer, I can understand what is happening astrologically that is creating this effect. And as a human, still feel frustrated sometimes with this process, still feel frustrated with the question marks that are happening, still feel maybe a little bit jealous that these situations don't have more solidity. You guys can tell that I'm a little bit tired as I'm sharing this, but maybe stability is the word that I was trying to look for. So this brings up the point of where I've been thinking about right now, which is the extra importance in taking care of ourselves right now. And this can look a lot of different ways. For example, I'm reaching for a really quick example right here, but it's part of for me to practice what I preach. All day long, I was in meetings, and I started this day out with the best of intentions. I had an errand to run at the new house today before my work day started. I'm like, okay, this is going to be a great day. I'm going to go over to the house. It's going to be so exciting. And I'm going to get in charge of my work and get all this stuff done. And I realized, I've got a lot of late meetings. It never feels good, but it'll be okay. Celtics game tonight. There's a lot of good stuff going on, right? But then right away, instead of choosing to make myself a cup of tea and breakfast and spend some good time with the dogs, instead I opened my work email early and I got sucked into a project that had just had a lot of frustration already attached to it. And I was trying to make that better, right? My anxiety is what I was trying to fix is, this thing is outgoing, it's outstanding. I need to fix it. I need to action it. I'm going to start working on this. And that made me have to run to my appointment at the house. And by this point, it was just raining outside, another really cold and dreary day here. Lots and lots of heavy rain happening now. So not as ideal, but it's okay. Did have a great time over at the house. Just felt so many warm, positive, happy vibes. But then I had to leave that and go back to the Airbnb, which is fine other than the fact that at this point, I'm just craving home or what could be home or a taste of what feels like mine, just being able to be yeah, we can go get a bunch of taco stuff for dinner and not feel okay, but do we want to buy all these groceries? How long are they going to last? Do we, it's just the little things, right? When you're not in a place of stability. So I came back, dived right into my day, had a lot of back-to-back meetings. And it was just one of those days where, certain emails were popping up and people really needed a lot of different things. And the communication just felt very circular. And the meetings never got fully resolved. They were always and now let's set up another meeting to finish this conversation. Which, if you work in the corporate world, this is a really common thing. But I had spent the last 7 years out of the corporate world, and I am trying to recondition myself to that, which is fine, but it's a process. This is the theme, is we can understand something on a head level and be having a hard time with it with the rest of the parts of ourselves. And I think that's where I'm at right now, you guys. Even more than that, I was sitting on the couch tonight and I was just feeling so many things. I'm feeling a lack of control. I'm feeling just I want to have a little bit of a meltdown about certain things. I'm feeling things aren't good enough as they are right now. I'm feeling bad about feeling that because I want to be grateful and I want to feel solid. I'm feeling just a ton of scattered and mixed emotions. And the thing is I was sitting here kind of trying to soothe myself and kind of coax myself down, I realized I need to take a little bit better care of myself, because up until, 35 minutes ago, I was still in the same clothes I had been wearing all day. I was still in my shoes that I had been wearing all day. I'd been going one thing to the next and just constantly in motion. And I didn't even just take a moment to let my shoulders down and breathe. And that in itself feels so good and is so important and is part of taking care of yourself. So if you are feeling anything like this, I want you to remember, and I promise you I am telling myself this just as much as I'm telling you, that we've got to do a better job of taking care of ourselves throughout the entire day. Even that if it's just a few more moments. It may not be perfect. It may not be a whole day off where we can carve out time for ourselves and do all of our favorite things and listen to music and eat delicious food and spend time in nature. It may not look like that. It may be making sure to take our shoes off and put some cozy socks on. It may be stopping to just lift the shoulders up and exhale and breathe. It may be committing to waking up a little bit earlier and getting on your yoga mat. It might mean taking one of your phone calls outside. It might mean saying no. Somebody asks you to do something or expects something of you, and instead of just figuring out how to cram it in, maybe it's rescheduling it and not feeling bad about it. I think that's one of the other components of all of this is how not only what you're choosing to do in the action, but how you're choosing to feel about it, because it's also very easy to hold a lot of that guilt, to hold a lot of the frustration or the sadness or the resistance, right? And instead, what would it look like just to let that go a little bit more? We cannot control other people. We cannot control situations. We cannot control the timing of things or what does or doesn't get done that, we may or may not have control over. This has been my reminder, because while I can make space to get things done, I also only have so many hours in a day. I only have so much mental capacity right now. And especially when there's stuff going on in your body, your nervous system, your life, stressors, all of these things, like, give yourself credit for all of that and be compassionate with yourself. Be easy on yourself and prioritize those little things. I realize that I'm kind of weaving two different messages together, but I think that you got this and you can kind of extract both of them. And remember, drink the water, get the sleep, keep things short, pause your schedule, take care of yourself. Those little things, even if you can't do them as much as you normally can when you're not as stressed, they go a long way. And if you already are in the habit of not doing those things for yourself anyway, even though you're in a little bit more of a steady place, go back to them. Break up those habits that have you prioritizing everything else and not yourself. And finally, just remember that all of this that you are dealing with right now, in one way or another, it is temporary, right? Whether it is a certain phase of your career, whether it's a situation with your family, whether it's a milestone in your kids' lives that you're going through, or a certain conversation or theme or issue in your community group or church or workout schedule or whatever it is. Maybe it's with your health. Whatever it is that you are currently dealing with or feeling the weight of, it is temporary. And it is okay to pause and to connect with the core of yourself that is the same regardless of what is happening currently in your life. And I told myself, in honoring everything I have going on, knowing that we are so close to this deadline, that I am just praying that the next time I record this podcast, that it'll be inside of my new office. But I do want to just shortly and quickly remind you that this week we are having the lunar eclipse. It is the second half of the two-part eclipse shebang that happens. They always come in pairs. So the last new moon was a solar eclipse, and this full moon that's happening on Friday is the lunar eclipse. And lunar eclipses are powerful endings. They're powerful moments in general, and they absolutely encapsulate this idea of letting go, of closing the door, of shutting the book, of starting, not necessarily the starting of something new, but the idea that when something really comes to a conclusion, then something new can begin. And you can't have that newness without something else like finding resolution, without something else coming to completion. But one thing that I know to be true is that anytime that you finally let go of something, there is an emotion attached to that. So it's okay if you are feeling intensity this week. It's okay if you feel like you're on the verge of a mini meltdown. It's okay if you feel like you don't have answers, but you want them and you're mad about it. It's okay if you feel like the people around you are all losing it and you're on the different page than them and you just can't make it all make sense. It is okay. And the best thing that we can all do this week is create more space in our life to slow down and tune in, and to find healthy ways to acknowledge what we are feeling, whether that's writing it down in your notes app on your phone, or having a conversation with that friend that you can tell anything to and you just need to spill it all out. It could be on your yoga mat, it could be crying, it could be gardening, it could be going for a run. It can be anything where you feel like you're able to check in, hook in, and really understand and process what you're feeling and kind of get it out. And if you feel like you can't do that and you're looking for a way to do that in some way, find movement. Jump up and down, shake your body, shake out your jaw, roll through your wrists, your ankles, find child's pose, do some jumping jacks, take a walk. Like, finding movement has this way of other things moving along as well. That'd be my biggest recommendation. And this full moon is in the sign of Scorpio, so it's a water sign. So if you can get to some water, whether that's a little walk along the beach, maybe some ocean waves as you fall asleep, or while you do some journaling, looking at pictures of water, anything like that, taking a bath, these kind of things are going to be super helpful this week. I know this one was a fast one. I hope, though, that these little moments are helpful for you. And it's my ritual to come here and record this and share it back with you. So I want to say thank you for listening this week. And thank you so much for being so patient with me as I am moving through so much and feeling, honestly, just like a little bit less than good enough as I do this work as a astrologer, as a self-care specialist. I am far from perfect. I do not have it all figured out. I am sitting in it as well. And I think all of us are trying to figure out how just to accept ourselves as we are. It's an ongoing process. So thank you for being a witness for me as I do this work too. If you can, put out all the vibes for me that I'm recording in a more quiet, stable place next time. I can't wait to share those updates with you and to finally share with you where I'm at and a lot more of the details of being here and just all of the incredible things that are going to happen as we keep moving through this summer. It's going to be good. This is a temporary moment in time that will surely change, in that we can all trust. So until next time, thank you again for joining me today, and I can't wait to talk to you soon.